You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
All right, we have pushed the record button, which means that this is episode 4. Dakota, is this episode 4?
I believe this is episode 4.
Episode 4 of the Boss Hog of Liberty, BHOL is what I'm going with, because I can't tell anybody that I'm the host or the co-host. You're really the host as well, even though you've been screwed out of being on the cover art, and your name's not listed.
I'm the other day, well, this weekend, whenever we were on our way from Chicago.
Oh, you took a vacation without me.
Yeah, we definitely did. It was just me and my fiance Audrey.
Hello, Audrey.
Hi.
She's returned.
We were on our way back from Chicago, and she said, "Why aren't you on the cover art for Boss Hog of Liberty?" I said, "Well, I know my place. Yeah. I'm not near as important as Jeremiah. He's the man that rules with an iron fist over Henry County."
What you didn't do is you didn't steal a board from dear leader and demand that you have your own show. Now that you're here, what would happen is you're going to take the knife and shove it in my back down the road
eventually,
and then just like you did to Jesse Riddle to steal the chairmanship away for Henry County, the Libertarian Party of Henry County. And I know that the betrayal is coming. It's just a matter of time.
In the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. That's why I tried to tell Tanner Perdue, and then he got in a car wreck. So watch out. Yeah.
So, did you listen to the 420 episode of We're Libertarians?
Oh, I did. I did listen.
What would you say the characterization of me was? Was it friendly?
It was not friendly at all.
It was a character assassination.
You were demonized.
What
what?
All I do is serve these people.
I was raised by a man who I thought had great character.
Greg Lenz.
He raised me to have good character, and he himself has none whatsoever.
Well,
that's what I'm learning now.
As far as the order of people to attack, I'm not sure that Greg is the one we need to go after here. Our syndicator allowed it. And our syndicator allowed it to go out. But my God, Dakota, we made Tanner Perdue who he is. We stopped by his store. He stood us up last week.
Yep.
And here he's out there.
Nothing but bad things to say.
It's awful.
No.
Thank God I'm not Jesse Riddle. That poor guy. Apparently he puts the fear of God into him. Did you listen to this?
I listened to a little bit of it.
Yeah.
A little bit. 5 minutes?
No, it was like a good hour and a half.
Yeah.
An hour and a half of a libertarian podcast gets you a gold star.
You
need to go back and double the size of that engagement ring you got her if she listened for an hour and a half to Greg and Tanner and James.
Yeah. No, he was terrified of Tanner or of Jesse, and it was hilarious. I think that was one of the funniest things that I'd heard on the entire podcast.
In the history of podcasts?
Yeah. I was laughing out loud in the car on Interstate 65 on the way to Chicago. I was just rolling, laughing.
Yeah, and then we get into this. Somehow I've turned into like Medellin, Pablo Escobar. I don't know if I'm drug running or what's happening, but by the time they laid off, they got into the real stuff and made the content people happy, and then the last half an hour of the podcast, all of a sudden it turns into, hey, let's make fun of Jeremiah again. What the heck?
Yes, Pablo Escobar doesn't even really have assistants. He just has people that are too afraid to talk about him, in fear that they will get shot.
I don't want to.
Is that who I am?
I don't want to say that some of this was real, but I do have a pond that I'd like to let some of them come visit on a quiet weekend when nobody's around. We'll see if there's any snapping turtles in there.
Oh, I bet there's a lot.
Yeah,
I bet there's a lot.
And I've got a body of water here in my backyard where there's no witnesses either.
Yeah, but I helped you open that pool, and you're
of no risk.
But I really don't want to have to, clean it after the snapping turtles get done, and I don't want there to be snapping turtles in it because they're gonna poop everywhere.
It's like well, see that is a problem. We have to once they've done their job. I think we need to relocate them or let them out. But I kind of think that they would be like.
How good is that sand filter?
Oh, that sand filter does a great job.
Does it filter bone?
No comment. There are certain things that are state secret where you don't want to answer or don't have to answer, and we're just not going to.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Well, that policy's over. You can't. Don't ask, don't tell is gone. It's not allowed. Not allowed in the military anymore.
That is also not on the list of the table of contents, so I shouldn't have brought it up. I apologize.
Yeah, the show notes. Greg's supposed to create the show notes for We Are Libertarians, but my Greg, he's like, yeah, what are we doing?
I mean, really.
You've been actually. We're just going to start flamethrowing on our co-host today, but you were tough to pin down today.
Oh, it was. Oh, it was horrible. It was so bad.
This might be a little bit my fault.
I had to leave work early. How horrible was that?
Well, leaving work early is not all that bad.
Well, it is if you don't get paid for it.
Yeah, that's true. You got to make that mortgage payment.
Yeah.
So
mortgage.
So last episode, I channeled Dwight Schrute and I said, "This dog that causes so much trouble, maybe you just need to go ahead and find a final solution." and today you send me a couple of cryptic texts, and the first one says, "Might not be able to make it today." And I'm thinking, oh well, he's being held late at work because he's been working a lot. And the next one comes through, and the dog's not really walking or talking or moving or anything. You're just
he
kind of
was unresponsive. I had to take him to the vet. Okay, his home vet was not open. Like, they were open, but he was in surgeries all day. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. They said, oh, take him to the emergency vet. It's a $150 emergency cost, though. I'm like, $150? I'm not going to do that right now.
That's just a start with a dog.
Oh, I was like, nah. So then I called the doctor on 38 here in Newcastle.
Dr. Rich?
Wisecup.
What? Wisecup. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Country Acre, if you're a Henry County local.
Yeah, that's right. I called him, and he's like, oh, yeah, bring him in. I'm like, this is how bad he was today. I had to pick him up and carry him to the car and carry him in the vet. And, like, he didn't even do anything whenever I was picking him up. And then by the time that we left the vet office, he was, like, walking around. And he's like, yeah, whatever.
Maybe you starve for attention. You're with that dog 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then you take him on vacation. You go, when you go to your southern estate down by the river, or down by the lake, you take him. And then you abandon him for the weekend, and here he's revolting.
Yeah, that could be, but
right in the microphone, Dakota.
I'm not sure though. I don't know if I 100% buy that theory, because whenever we did get home, we let him outside again, and he fell off the back porch and landed on his head. So that was like 5 minutes before we came here. That's what we've been dealing with today.
Dakota deemed him fine though, so
he's fine.
He's fine.
He's a trooper. He's been through a lot. One little knock on the head ain't gonna kill him.
It's fine. It's only like a 6-foot drop. It's okay.
Wow.
He's a tough guy. So see, he almost did it to himself. Like, I wouldn't even have to do the final solution. He almost brought it upon himself.
Well, that's what I feel like. I'm like the one guy that feels like I'm pointing it out in the room that this isn't sounding good. And I'm sure that our millions of listeners now are thinking the same thing, but nobody wants to say it.
Are you rethinking him letting him kick Riley out of the room?
No.
He let his dog just fall off the porch.
Riley,
then he let him kick him out.
I left Riley at home. I went camping over the weekend. So you guys went to Chicago, and I went. The lovely Miss Sarah Potter, who has not made a return appearance to the podcast. Dakota can get his girl to come back, but I can't seem to work it out so that Sarah can make a return. We spent the weekend down in Columbus, Indiana, camping with her family, and I left Riley here, and he took care of himself. My dog's an independent free thinker.
See, that's how my other dog would be, though. I mean, and that's how he was, too, before he started having seizures. See, the seizures just make him go blind for, like, 12 hours.
So he gives up. He just sits there.
Yeah, it just kind of happens. But it's only once a month. So. But hopefully with this new medication. See, it all goes back to that medication. We were talking in the last episode about him being on the new medicine. Well, they told me to take him off of the old medicine. He had withdrawals today, and that's what happened. He was having withdrawals. It was like a meth head.
It's like heroin. You've got your dog on heroin now, and
yeah, I mean it's phenobarbital. It is a controlled substance, so that's kind of what happens.
the opioid epidemic amongst German shepherds. He's probably going to have to find a halfway house.
Yeah. So the advice of the vet today was, you know what, just keep him on it. I said, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So he's on two different medications now, the new one and the old one?
Right. But both of these are still not as costly as it was. This is going to cost me $50 every 2 months.
Sure.
So,
how much does a hole cost in Newcastle to dig a hole in the backyard?
Well, you have to call...
Because he'll fall right in.
You have to call 811, have to deal with all that crap.
That's free. You just have to wait. You have to be patient. They'll come out and mark your yard. And do you have to call 811? You're in the utility
I don't want
business.
anybody to see what's in my backyard.
Oh, that's true.
It's for private eyes only. That's why I have such a lavish...
That's why I still haven't been invited over.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I don't think anybody's been to Lenz's house either, so you're just continuing the co-host tradition of being
it's a legacy.
all questionable and shady.
We live in the same house.
Greg lives there with you too?
You don't know.
Well, that's true. I've never been. I've been to the outside. You and your friend have a lovely home.
I think we discussed that on a previous episode.
I think we did. I think maybe on one of the early ones I think we talked about it when I met Dakota for the first time. He was a go-getter, interested in purchasing some LP stuff, and he ordered a Rex Bell sign, and I stopped by, and Dakota with his well-manicured fingers and his pressed shirt and his fashionable hair and this gentleman that he was with. I was, well, okay, sure. Yeah. They're, whatever.
It was my friend
Not
Chase.
that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was my friend Chase. He was helping me on my fence. And as you leave, you say, well, have a nice day. You two have a lovely home here. And I thought, what did he just say? And I immediately went inside, and I knew that Audrey had known you from 4-H. So I just texted her and said, do you know a guy named Jeremiah? And she said, Morrill? I said, yeah, that's the one, I'm pretty sure. She showed me your picture on Facebook. I was like, yeah, that's the guy. He thinks I'm gay.
Yeah, I thought, well, what you should have done is gone running inside and be like, no, here's a picture of my girlfriend. You chase me down, chase my truck down the road, defending your honor.
It just caught me off guard. I was kind of shaken up by the whole
I do
experience.
creepy really well, Dakota.
Yeah.
I do creepy really well.
You do. Yeah. I'll applaud you on that.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's one of my many talents.
So, have you taken the political quiz on the 8 points?
No. So we in the libertarian circles here in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a new political quiz come out, and I saw some of our local friends talking about it. So I said, we're going to do this on the podcast. It's called 8 Values. I have not taken it yet. I think Dakota has.
Yeah, I have. Would you like me to share my results?
Well, let's we've got to be more professional as we steal this information, steal this board, and we try to host a podcast that's listened to by, I'm sure, every libertarian, big L, small L, and medium L that's in the history of the world is tuned in at this point, 4 episodes in. We have to do a better job of setting things up. So this is the 8 values. I guess it's just the 8 values political quiz. It's at 8values.github, GITHUB.io, which sounds like a great reputable website, but whatever.
Yes, it does.
It's not the Advocates for Self-Government, but instead of 4 quadrants, you have 8 values. So it's going to go.
I've taken a lot of political quizzes since I got into politics.
Yep.
This is actually, I feel like, a pretty accurate one. I feel like it actually did a pretty decent job.
Is this quiz designed just for libertarians, or is it designed for any politics?
It's designed for any politics, and as you answer the questions, as you get to them, I feel like it was written by a leftist.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. You have to be somewhere, so you can't find a perfect middle person to write it, I suppose. Right. So what we'll do, we'll play this game here. I've not gone through it before. It's going to ask us questions on economic, diplomatic, civil, societal issues dealing with equality, might, liberty, tradition, wealth, peace, authority, and progress.
There are 60 questions.
60, good God. This is a 1-hour podcast. We'll see what we can do here. We're going to click to start, and we'll buzz through as quick as we can. There's got it. Yep, never mind. Sure, why not? 1 of 60. Man, this is gonna be the. If you like just the banter of this show, I think this concludes the fun portion of this program. And now it's just going to be me. It's going to be like listening to somebody take a phone survey. But Dakota will make fun of us as we go along, and the lovely Audrey Joe, PV, and myself will answer, and we'll see where we end up. So, Audrey, do you want to read the first question? You want to?
Oh,
do you want to play Christy
really.
Lee pretending to be on the Bob and Tom show here? Or am I going to do all of this?
You can do all of it.
Great, thanks. Way to earn a co-hosting.
I am a guest.
She's in one of the folding chairs today, so she's on the guest side of the table, so she can't possibly do the work. This is really going to work out well, Dakota. You made a great choice. She stands up for herself and tells me to piss off. So
that's right.
Oppression by corporations is as much, if not more, of a concern than oppression by governments. And then we do a strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. So oppression by corporations is as much, if not more, of a concern by governments. Well, sure, I guess. I mean, they're both screwing you over, right? I mean, in theory, of course, the remedies of that are different. But I guess I can have a mild agree with that statement. Where are you at, Miss Peavy? I don't want to cloud your judgment in any way. So.
I really have no idea.
None at all?
I don't know.
I feel like it would be easier to change.
So unsure, right? If you're unsure, you don't know. I think it's unsure.
I don't know a lot about a lot of this stuff.
if there's something, to be said about a corporation versus a government, I think that it would be a lot easier for a person to change how a corporation treats you, or you can just change jobs from as an employee to an employer of a corporation. It would be a lot easier to change jobs than to change governments, as we've seen. Like,
sure,
everybody
you're looking at it through the eyes of somebody that works for a company or as an employer, not necessarily. Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, so Audrey's put in her secret answer that she's not going to tell anybody what it is, or she can. She doesn't know.
I'm unsure.
Unsure. So she selected unsure. That's a valid choice. The next one: it is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect its citizens. It's the same stuff. Strongly agree, disagree. I'm going to strongly disagree with that because I'm actually a libertarian. The freer the markets, the freer the people. That's an easy strongly agree for me. Ms. Peavy? Are you keeping up, or you jumping out ahead of yourself?
Mine was agree too.
All
I
right.
just did agree.
All right. Publicly funded research is more beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market.
Wrong.
Oh, this is a tough one for me. So Thomas Massey is the libertarian-liked guy talking about research, and he actually is kind of an advocate. Of course, he's a Republican, but he's an advocate of research. And in some way, I probably am too. So I'm probably not the purest libertarian on this issue. More beneficial to the market than leaving it to the market. Research is tough because certain things won't get researched. And that's the left argument there, and I think there's probably some merit to that. I'm not fully on board, but I can at least concede the point. So I'm going to give them an agree, but I'm probably more than actually I'm going to go neutral.
See, I don't know if it's necessarily more beneficial to the people,
Right, but I don't know if we're going to get back to it or how this is construed or constructed. So I'm going to go neutral there because I can argue it from both sides and still have convictions on it.
Right. I understand that.
From each according to his ability, to each is according to his needs. This sounds like communism right here, I believe. I think that's the Communist Manifesto is what they pulled this from.
Yep.
We'll go strongly disagree because I am not a communist. Are you a communist, Miss Peavy?
No, I am not a communist.
Okay, I am not a communist. It's on record. I am not a commie. It would be best if societal programs were abolished in favor of private charity. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, because I am a libertarian.
I already went yet. I put agree.
Okay, she doesn't strongly agree, but she agrees a little bit. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. We'll strongly disagree. Mm-hmm. Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth.
I wouldn't be. I don't understand that. Because he didn't work for it?
Yeah, so there was when the progressives were coming around in the early 1900s, Theodore Roosevelt was president, and he wanted to have taxes in place that would basically force the second or third generation, maybe by the time money got to the third generation, that it would be wiped out by taxes, so that you would have to actually go in and earn for yourself, not become a Vanderbilt or a robber baron. And once again, while there's some merit of that, there's not enough there for me to want to tax the hell out of people for death. That's not really the government's job. So inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. I will agree. Mm-hmm. Public utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. Oh man, who will own the roads? Dakota. This is like both down our alleys. You're in utilities and I'm in roads.
That's right. The McRoads.
The McRoads.
Private corporations will pay for their own roads.
See, I'm probably the world's worst libertarian. Monopolies.
No, I
Monopolies
understand.
should be publicly owned. If there's not a reasonable way to do it, I can understand if private ones want to continue, but you run into some legitimate issues of everybody trying to have right-of-ways and operating roads and owning the roads, and what happens if they're all private.
Right. I mean, I completely agree with that. Like, the roads are publicly owned, but I think that we get to the point to where, like we see now, it's just INDOT, and it's costing taxpayers...
INDOT being Indiana.
Yeah. They're costing us millions of dollars more than what it should be to pave a road.
Well, INDOT doesn't pave their own roads. They sub it out to a contractor.
Occasionally.
Every time. Whenever you may have some maintenance work that INDOT will do themselves, but when you repave a road, they'll sub that out. They don't actually do that themselves.
So the county department...
A county highway department might be different.
I see them all the time.
Right, yeah, they're filling potholes. When you see the county out there, they're not actually paving most roads. They usually...
Right, yeah.
And when we talk about state, the state, as a rule, doesn't have their own paving equipment. In Indiana, check local listings. This is a national show with intense focus on Henry County, Indiana, and local politics. Those with the greater ability to pay should receive better health care. Yeah. If Dakota is willing, this could be people care or dog care. If Dakota is willing to pay for his dog, then it should receive better health care than me when I'm not willing to pay for that health care.
I was not willing to pay $150 today.
It's just the start. It's just the start of what you're going to pay for that thing. I'm going to go all Dwight Schrute on you again. Adequate education is a right of all people. Oh, man. So
this is a confusing question.
Adequate education is a right of all people. So I'm going to frame this as a guy who lives in Indiana, who Indiana's Constitution says we have to provide for common schools. And it's in the Constitution. There's a lot of battles I want to fight out there. That's not really one of them. So I'm going to say yes, I agree. I'm not going to strongly agree because I totally understand how other things are in place, but at the same time, a public school system, public education is it's in place. It's not changing, and it's a burden we have to carry. So I'm going to agree, not strongly agree on this one.
So, but the thing about that question is it's totally open-ended. It doesn't define what education is. And education could be entering into the workforce and learning a skilled trade, a craft, how to cut grass, do anything. And if we're
You're thinking of higher education, and I'm looking at more of the grade school. I'm looking at lower too.
I mean, 4th, 5th, 6th grade. I mean,
Ron Swanson over here. I was running the floor by the 5th grade at the sheet metal factory.
I had my first job whenever I was 14.
I did too. I baled hay for Jeff Higgins on Messick Road.
And you learned a lot by that.
Yeah.
Could you have learned a lot more if you?
I could learn more at $10 an hour than $5 an hour, but it was straight cash, homie. So whatever.
Yeah. Could you have learned a lot more doing that for 4 hours out of the 8-hour school day while you were earning money?
Well, we couldn't cut hay in the winter, so it was. Mama said I had to go learning.
Mama said that?
Mama said I had to go learning. I dropped out after the 6th grade anyway. I can't lie.
Yeah,
I was homeschooled after that, so I probably was closer to the what you're describing anyway, Dakota.
Yeah, that's true.
The means of production should belong to the workers who use them. I will agree strongly. Of course, you're not owned by the government. The United Nations should be abolished. I'm going to strongly agree. We don't need to be a part of that. America first. Military action by our nation is often necessary to protect it. I'm going to strongly disagree with the way this is phrased.
It's phrased horribly.
It is phrased absolutely terribly or poorly. And I don't know who made this quiz. This may be... I don't want to cast too many stones, but I will say I'm going to strongly disagree. If we are actually attacked, that's one thing, but what we do in the military right now, we've talked about this on previous episodes, I don't consider to be America having to protect itself as much as preemptive.
Yeah, I think if they would just change often to sometimes,
make it more vague,
I might agree with it.
All right.
Yeah.
It is more important to retain peaceful relations than further our strength. More important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. So this is one of those deals where I think you can
argue both sides.
Yeah, I mean,
what you have to ask
you can have strength, but are you dropping bombs or are you just looking strong?
Right. You have to ask is, like, how much farther do you want to take our strength right now?
I'm going to say agree. I don't, because peaceful relations, I think diplomacy is going to work, but yeah, I can see why people can end up all over the board on this thing. There's no guarantees here. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries. Sure, I guess I can agree with that. They don't have to be justified with other countries, but they sure as hell ought to be justified here at home with a declaration from Congress. So I'll strongly agree. Military spending is a waste of money. Oh, man. Yeah, I can see why these are not specific policies. They're just, this is like going down to Walmart and interviewing somebody and asking what they say.
Right, and I feel like this quiz is more, like, we're taking it really seriously. And I think it's more of a thing to where you go, military spending, waste of money, yeah, okay. I mean, it's just like a split-second decision is how this is framed.
I know. Maybe at the same time, obviously you have friends and family in the military, and I do as well, and I don't want to say, well, it's a waste of money. It's not entirely a waste of money, but we spent $300 million on the Moab project that we've dropped one bomb and anchor on. So, I don't know. Is it a waste of money? I'm going to go neutral because I can argue it both ways. Right. International aid is a waste of money. I'm going to strongly agree on that one. My nation is the best in the world. By the grace of God and the way maps are drawn, I was born 2 miles south of the border to make me an American instead of a Canadian. And is my nation the best in the world? Yes, it is. I will strongly agree. Or I wouldn't agree. I don't want to be all Pat McAfee and super strongly agree, but I'll agree. Research should be conducted on an international scale. This is the internationalism thing. This goes back to the research should be done by private companies or by...
Which we already talked about that.
Right, which we did. I don't think it should be conducted on an international scale because then all of a sudden we're just throwing money into a pot.
Well, you already said that the UN should be abolished.
Exactly. And who's going to be in charge at that point?
You could have both.
You skipped right over that one. Yes, the UN gone. Research should be conducted on an international scale. We're going to strongly disagree. Government should be accountable to the international community. Oh, that's where they get into... That's like UN? Not just the UN, but war crimes and those other sorts of things. Where we can
Convention.
Yeah.
UN.
Yeah. Is that? I don't know if that's the United Nations. Dakota and his foreign policy over here. If I get elected president, I'm not sure that I'm going to let him be my anything, Audrey. I don't know. I'm still trying to decide over here if they make the president of the Memorial Park Board be president of the country. I'm not sure Dakota's got a position in my administration with the foreign policy chops he has. But he's only 21, so, for now. For now, I won't let you have the job. And I don't have the job either.
I'm a non-interventionalist on the border of isolationist.
Well, man, big words. Big words coming out of Dakota in the tiny chair today. Government should be accountable to the international community. I'm going to agree, but with caveats as always. When protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. I disagree strongly.
Oh, yeah. Violence is
I'm not saying we need to be violent, but I'm not taking it off the table. My religion should be spread by force if necessary. Well, I think we should ask the Quaker in the room what she thinks about this one.
Oh, that's not fair.
Oh, come on now. The answer is strongly disagree. In my view,
I don't.
If you want to be all, if you want
Quakers,
if you want to get into the Crusades and fight the battle, let's go. My political ideology should be spread by force if necessary. I'm going to strongly
start
disagree.
up the choppers.
Voluntarist, or else we're going to make you. Law and order should be maintained at all costs.
That is a good show.
Yes. Damn it, we need to bring back Law and Order. That is an excellent point.
It needs to be
20
maintained.
seasons were not enough. SVU's not cutting it. We have to maintain Law and Order at all costs. What were you thinking, NBC? And on the Dakota Davis shiny object radar just went off, and he's showing me a Greg Lenz meme, "Stolen Valor" by Spangle. He's wearing about 75 different pins of that he didn't earn.
The Photoshop
He's a Canadian.
is fantastic.
The Photoshop skills are top end today. Top end Photoshop. Law and order should be maintained at all costs. We're going to disagree strongly. Political elites are necessary as the general populace makes bad decisions. This is probably somewhat true.
I think that part of being a libertarian is believing in your core that people are inherently good.
Sure.
I do not think that human nature is bad. That is why I think that people should have the freedom that we tell them they can't have.
So the reality is that we need a smaller government so that we don't have the power in government to be able to ruin people's lives like we do anyway. And the way I'm going to answer this for now is I'm going to agree. I'm not going to strongly agree, but I will agree because we do need to have people that have a clue as to what the hell's going on. But that's what I'm saying by political elite. Not that you're a Bush or a Clinton or a Trump per se, and your families have been at the top end of society for generations. Just that you have to have a clue. I don't care what your breeding is or where you come from originally, as long as you know what the hell's going on, I'm fine with you being involved. You can be Mike Pence, a guy from Columbus, Indiana. I don't care. A victimless crime, such as drug use, should not be a crime at all. Well, let's go around the room. What do we think?
Strongly agree. Legalize all drugs.
Legalize all drugs. No cop, no stop, right?
No cop.
All right. Terrorism is a major threat, and some civil liberties must be sacrificed to prevent it. Strongly disagree.
People.
Strongly disagree with that one. Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. Strongly disagree. There's your Fourth Amendment there. Get a warrant, bitches.
CCTV.
Let's go.
We were watching TV a couple weeks ago, just on Netflix, and there's a TV show called Caught on Camera, and we're watching it, and I start realizing that it is in somewhere in Europe, and they're like watching all these nightclubs through cameras.
If you go out and party, they just watch you?
Yeah, for like fights to break out, people dropping roofies and drinks and stuff, and like they'll dispatch people over there. Like they get you. They really get you. Like you're like, oh man, that's cool. And then you're like, wait a minute, these people's privacy were just molested. Like their whole entire privacy was just obliterated in that moment. They were in a privately owned nightclub, and they're being watched by the police force in the sky.
Yeah, that's why you should never go outside of the bounds of this nation, Dakota. It's just not safe for people like us. Just not safe. The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty.
Strongly agree. I wish there was a more strongly agree to that.
Man, Dakota is the anarchist of the group here. I'm going to agree, but once again, I can argue it.
I could definitely argue it. I do not consider myself an anarchist.
Regardless of, we learned on the 420 Wall episode the dangers of anarchy with Tanner Purdue and his recreational nukes.
That's right.
Regardless of
McNukes.
Regardless of political opinions, over 3 blades of grass. By the way, that's why Somalia won't work, because of people like Dakota. Regardless of which I know is another trigger for libertarians. I know that's a warlord nation. That's not an anarchy, freedom, voluntary association country. I get that. It's an easy joke, and we're going to make it. Damn it. Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country. No thanks. Disagree strongly. No authority should be left unquestioned. Sure, strongly agree. No, you can question all authority of man. God is infallible. Am I right? High five. Jesse's not here. He'll never hear this.
Everybody is too bad.
Everybody has a token atheist friend, and he's mine.
Yeah.
A strongly hierarchical state, man, hierarchical is most efficient. A strongly hierarchical state is most efficient. No, you want a bottom-up government. That's what works, not a top-down government. Strongly disagree. Or on question 34 of 60, we're going to have to go to the speed round here. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even when it is wrong. Strongly disagree. Audrey, whenever you're ready, just start jumping in here. The stronger the leadership, the better. The stronger. And they're whispering off camera. I don't know.
I just wanted to know what question she was on. See if she had skipped ahead.
She probably
My
has.
quiz started all over again, so
Oh my
I've been
God.
trying to play catch up.
She's playing
for
catch
like
up.
the past 5 minutes.
She doesn't remember what she did. The stronger the leadership, the better. Neutral. Democracy is intrinsically valuable as more than a decision-making process.
This is another horrible question.
Democracy is intrinsically valuable as more than a decision-making.
This question,
of course.
right?
Of course, we're a public. There's our guest for the next episode showing up at the door. So we will. We're gonna do the speed round here. And in the background, I know you hear Riley, my lovely dog who doesn't require diapers, unlike Dakota's dog.
Aww.
Democracy is intrinsically valuable as more than a decision-making process. I will agree, but there's caveats. Environmental regulations are essential. I'm going to disagree. They're not totally essential. A better world will come from automation, science, and technology. Yes, absolutely. Children should be educated in religious or traditional values. They can be educated in whatever they want to be educated in. None of the government's business, so we're going to strongly disagree. If we're looking at this through the eyes of the government. Irrational tradition should be abolished. Immediately. Where do you go with this? What's your brain tell you?
I don't even know.
Nothing? You got no first thoughts?
I don't even know what it's asking.
Well, I mean, are we allowed to burn witches at the stake? Should we be doing circumcisions? That's Seth Nyman. He was going completely crazy over that issue the other day. Very strong feelings, apparently, on that one. I always think of Arrested Development, the first episode. When did you watch that?
I watched it a while ago.
Oh, man. Lindsay, the daughter on there, she held a benefit for Hoops, hands off our penises. And it just slays me every time. It's like a 10-second clip, and it's the greatest thing ever. Irrational tradition should be abolished. No, they shouldn't. Don't cause force against somebody, but whatever. Religion should play a role in government. Disagree. Mm-hmm. Churches should be taxed the same way other institutions are taxed. I'm going to disagree because that stuff's already been taxed once. It's the money that comes into a church already comes in and it's been taxed by somebody else. So they don't need to pay property taxes and they don't need to pay income taxes, but their employees typically pay taxes. Although if you're a pastor, you do get a sweet out on Social Security. Climate change is either not real or not man-made. I don't know. I'm sweating my balls off right now in the office here, though, with the sun beating down on me. I was worried about Dakota and the sunlight thing, but it's real. It's beating down on us in here. It's late on a Monday afternoon after the Pacers lost Game 4 of the NBA playoffs. We have no sports to look forward to here until September, except for the Indy 500. Climate change is either real or not man-made. We will agree. Are you going to let him in? All right. There's Tim McGuire. Tim will be our guest on the episode 5, which will air next week in advance of the Libertarian Party of Indiana convention. So that's your teaser. Tune in, watch, listen for episode 5, and Tim will sit in with us here, but we'll keep his mic off because rookie audio engineer me doesn't know what the hell I'm doing, so it'll take 10 minutes to dial him in when it's time. So climate change is not real or not man-made. We'll disagree. I don't know. I'm neutral. I went to business school, Dakota. I didn't study the climate, and I don't want.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me because I'm so on the fence. I read so many conflicting things, and it's like
it depends on what Alex Jones is saying this week as to whether or not you agree or not.
I mean, it's just so conflicting because everybody is an extremist on it. There's no common sense, neutral, just I'm going to spout some facts, and here you go. It's everybody's freaking out. The penguins and polar bears are dying, or it's getting colder. Like, I just don't know what to
Our
believe.
friend Rex Bell had a great meme he shared just yesterday or the day before, and it was the Time magazine cover in 1977 talking about the incoming ice caps, the incoming ice age, and then it was the 2014 where the polar bears were dying, and he said, "Stop! We've done too much. We've gone too far. We have to stop. We've got to start cooling it off again." It's important that we work as a united world to combat climate change. God, I didn't agree that it exists, and here they want to know. I'm going to disagree now. They're just pissing me off. Society was better many years ago than it is now. I'm going to strongly disagree. I have the internet, and I watched it. I went camping last weekend, and I watched the IndyCar race on cable.
Is that part of society, though?
Yes, I watched cable on my phone on a TV in the woods.
Is that society or just a technological
That
advancement?
is society. Technology makes society.
Oh,
so
okay, I can see that, yeah.
They can take the answer the way I give it. It's my podcast. Our podcast, I guess. Even though Dakota's not in the art. It's important that we stay connected to our past. Sure. Why not? Doesn't mean we need beheadings anymore like we're France. Is it important that we think in the long term beyond our lifespans? Well, I don't know. Are we thinking past 5 minutes, Dakota? Are you thinking about past your lifespan? Rarely. I'm thinking to the end of your dog's lifespan is what I'm thinking. Tim thinks I'm terrible now. He has no idea what's happening.
You're going to feel so horrible if something happens to him in the next couple of days.
I already feel horrible. Now I've got to embrace it. I wished it upon the dog last time, and now I've just got to wear that hat. It's my burden now.
You will never live it down.
Like I'm the one killing your dog.
I will give you hell for forever.
I'll buy you a puppy.
I'm okay with that
I will adopt you a puppy. See? This is what I said in the beginning. If something happens, you have 2 weeks of mourning, and then you get the new puppy, and you move on. I'm sorry. You have to see. She's already looking up dogs on the phone right now, showing them pictures of puppies. It's important that we think in the long term beyond our lifespans. I will agree, of course, strongly agree, but that's not the government's job. That's our job to do that. 48 of 60. We're almost there, boys and girls. Reason is not important. Is more important than maintaining our culture.
Like Reason the magazine.
I think they're definitely talking about Reason the magazine. Yeah. Are you a monthly subscriber? Do you pay?
I am, yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately, he is.
Wow.
Man,
there's going to be some cutbacks when she's the woman of the house. You're going to get today's homeowner cut off, or you're not going to have all you're going to have is Bridezilla magazine.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, this month it was just a big picture of Trump. I hate opening up the mailbox.
Did you read it?
No, I didn't read it.
Just I'm just in it for the art. All right, reason is important. Of course, reason is important, and we can reason our way through anything. Drug use should be legalized or decriminalized. Yes, of course. Same-sex marriage should be legal. Yes, strongly agree. These are getting easy now. Sex outside of marriage is immoral. It's none of their business. It's not the government's business. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to disagree, but once again, who the hell cares? Abortion should be prohibited. Oh, man.
This is a toughie.
It's not a toughie.
It is for me.
Okay, well, to each their own. What I always say about abortion is that no matter which party you're in, the Libertarian Party, the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, people are on all sides of it. It's not a political issue. We're never going to decide it. Should it be prohibited? I think you're killing an unborn, but, once again, you're not going to solve it. I'm going to give a neutral answer and cop out here because it truly is not it shouldn't be a political issue at this point.
I would agree with that.
See,
reasoning.
We have an agreement on abortion. We should just ignore it.
I do think it's a violation of the non-aggression principle.
We're not going down that road today. We have a guest in the room. We have to get to him in a moment. Gun ownership should be prohibited for those without a valid reason. Should be prohibited for those without a valid reason. No, you should have a gun for a valid reason. Unless I'm dumb and reading this backwards because I'm 1 ounce of vodka into this evening, I don't think I'm wrong in that one.
1 ounce.
I support
1 ounce is good to you.
Yeah, just right straight to my brain. I support single-payer universal health care. We're going to disagree. Strongly disagree. I do not support that. I support the European Union. I don't give a damn about the European Union. I'm not European.
I stayed up until like 2 a.m. watching the referendum come in on that. I was so excited whenever they voted to leave. I was so pumped. It was like, I don't know, it was kind of like watching Donald Trump take lead in the general election here. It was just like, oh my God.
It's really happening.
This is happening.
Right? You just want the world to break is what you are. Yeah, that's right. Communism isn't as bad as people say it is. Oh, yeah, it is. It is just as terrible. Ask the Cubans. Fascism isn't as bad as people say it is. We'll disagree on that one. Capitalism isn't as bad as people say it is. I will agree with that because, we're American capitalists. Ooh. Question 59. All people, cultures, worldviews, and genders, sexualities, and economic classes should be treated equally. Yes, that's an easy question. Number 60. It is important that we further our ethnic, cultural, and economic group goals above all others.
This is a difficult one. If we were talking about our nation, I would agree. If we should further our nation's economic and group goals above all others, absolutely. But they throw in that ethnic and cultural,
well,
no.
Before the podcast started, we already established that you went to Chicago and you were berated by a bunch of Asian tourists. So now you have
oh my gosh,
you have no empathy for some cultures. They didn't stay in Chinatown, so you think that they have to be attacked.
No, I told you that I just have a general distaste for people of all colors, races, shapes, sizes. It doesn't matter. I just generally do not like people.
You just don't like any of them now.
No.
People are the problem in this world. If it was just you and your terrible dog, it would be fine. You've got speaking of dogs, mine's going off in the background. At Wall-E Studios, we have real animals. We don't have cats that climb on the table. We have dogs that bark in the background. All right, I'm going to go neutral on this because I don't have time to think about it now. All right, so my 8 values results, and I'm going to try to screenshot this for the audience, and we'll put it up with show notes or something.
I want to see how yours compared to mine.
All right, so there's there's multiple axes here. So there's an economic axis for market, and it's equality 34%, wealth 66%.
Man, I had 33%.
33% equality?
Yeah.
All right, so we're on top of each other there. Diplomatic, I'm balanced. 46% might, 53% peace.
Wow, I had 48% might and 51% or 52% peace.
So were you also balanced?
Yes.
All right. Audrey Joe, did you get to the results or did you give up?
I did not give up. It started over again.
Started over again for the third time?
Yeah.
I don't think your
it gave up on you. It broke on you.
It broke on me.
My civil access says libertarian. Liberty, 77%. Authority, 22%.
See, mine says liberal, and I think it was because of the abortion question.
Okay.
It's 65% liberty and 34%.
And the balance is the authority.
Yeah.
Well, you're the authoritarian of the group now. You are Greg's son.
Yeah.
Societal axis, 41% traditional and 58% progress. Neutral. What are you?
I'm also neutral, but I'm about 10% more tradition than you are.
Because you're a Trumpetarian.
I don't know about that.
So,
we both got libertarianism.
Yeah, my ideological match is libertarianism. So I'm going to screenshot this, save it, and we'll put it out with the podcast so that you guys can take this at home, try it. I don't know where it comes from. This is a waste of our time probably. But hey, if you played along at home and you listened while you were driving across the country, we're in it together, and you can at least compare your notes and comment and let us know what you did. So we're gonna literally try to remember what the hell we're gonna call this. We're gonna call this my initials 8 something something 8 values. It's the 8 values quiz. And we will put that up with the show notes. So, do we have any final thoughts today going around the room here real quick before we wrap up episode 4 of the greatest hit show since Tad Talks on the Wall Network? Dakota?
First thing I want to say is I've gotten a few friend requests on Facebook since this show started. I appreciate everybody doing that. Anybody that wants to hit me up on Facebook, just look me up, Dakota Davis. It'll be me standing in a purple shirt next to my beautiful fiance, Audrey. So,
now, wait a minute. You're dating this podcast. Now you can never change your profile picture. What if people discover us 6 months from now? And you're a married man.
I'm just going to have
standing next to a fiance and not your wife.
I'll just keep changing it as time goes on. Like, people will be like, where is this guy? I have no idea who this is.
All right. Audrey Joe, do you have anything you have to say?
Nope.
Do you want to defend the fact that I said Audrey Joe? Because did you listen to episode 3? I caught crap from Sarah for calling everybody Joe because apparently Sarah's mother's middle name is Joe. And but it's a thing here in Henry County. I swear to God, there are so many something Joes, and you guys use it as your name.
It is on Facebook too.
I know.
I do have it is Audrey Joe.
See,
so I'm proud of it. I'm okay with it.
Would you consider yourself a libertarian?
I guess so.
You just joined the National LP today.
It's a shotgun marriage for libertarianism. So, well, we thank you for being on the show. If people want to contact you, try to steal you away from Dakota, how do they reach out to you? They're running out of time. If they want to hunt you down, friend you, woo you. Spangle thinks he's got you on the hook, by the way.
I know.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody listening. We're still growing this thing. I think we've made some improvements to the sound quality in spite of what Jesse Riddle tried to tell you last time. He didn't have it fixed. It was improved, but this should be much better. I've invested. Dakota finally paid me the matter of $80 that we've been hunting him down for weeks for the side recorder. So in true Spangle fashion, I went and spent $40 on new headphones and pocketed the rest for myself.
Even though it was paying you back. It wasn't like
it was my own money. Yeah, I'm like the government. It's like multiplying money over here. Well, that $80 that I already put out, I got half of it back. So we're going to reinvest another half of that. Whatever. I know where this is going. It's going to cost money. If you want to help pay for the hosting costs, you can jump on wearelibertarians.com, jump on the PayPal, join the Jeremiah Moral Pizza Society, $7 a month. That's what I pay. And hey, they gave me a podcast and a soundboard, so I got it. We appreciate everybody joining.
Pretty sweet deal.
It's a pretty sweet deal if you can get it. Tune in next week for episode 5, where we'll talk to Tim McGuire, the one of the 2 people that's seeking the Libertarian chairs. So, hey, great! I wanted to sneeze on the end of the podcast. Thanks, Dakota. That's awesome.
Right, that's been trying to come out for such a long time.
We know you've been trying to come out for a long time. All right, we'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you for listening to the We're Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at We'reLibertarians.com.